The Attorney General in California claims that he is going after price gouging landlords. These are landlords that decided to increase their rents after the recent fires in order to make the most profit possible. But are these people really price gouging? No, absolutely not. And what are these price gouging laws? They're nothing more than rent control. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting topic for you today, and it has to do with these anti-price gouging laws. Now, I 100% don't agree with them, okay? I just don't. I think that landlords should be able to charge whatever rent that they want to charge, regardless of the circumstances, because you know what? The government cannot regulate prices. They cannot, the problem I have is that the government thinks that they can control the supply and demand, and they can't. They can control neither one of those things, yet they sit here and they pretend like they can. They think that, oh, well, we're going to sit here and say that you can only increase what you're asking for your rents by 10%. That's ridiculous, okay? I've seen bigger increases in asking rents in non-emergency situations. So you're telling me that suddenly there is a huge demand for housing and there's a limited supply, yet nobody will be willing to pay even a penny more, or nobody should have to pay even a penny more for that housing? That's silly. That's absolutely silly. So let's give you a good example, right? Let's say that your car broke down, okay? You do not have a car right now because it is in terrible shape, right? But at the same time, you have 1,000 other people whose cars also broke down. Now, you're very well to do, you have a lot of money, and you're like, hey, I want to get my car fixed. I'm willing to pay double what the normal asking rate is in order to get my car fixed as quickly as possible and be the very first person in line. And a mechanic jumps up there and says, okay, I'll take your double money and I'll fix your car right away. Well, that would be price gouging according to this attorney general and according to what these politicians are saying. Right? Even though you willingly gave away that much money, you had that much money to give, by them charging an additional amount that was over what they normally charge, all of a sudden, that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. Well, you know what? When you have people who have money, and in terms of these wildfires in California, a lot of these people have a lot of money. They are willing to pay extra money in order to have somewhere to live. And I see nothing wrong with that. And why are you punishing the landlords? They didn't create the supply issues. They didn't create the demand issues. They are just simply trying to operate their business in the most profitable way. Okay? So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. So first of all, do you believe that it is wrong for a landlord to charge more rent when the supply is, limited like it is in California right now, and the demand is sky high due to this sort of natural disaster? Do you think that's wrong? And do you think that this is similar to rent control like I do? I think this is nothing but rent control. I think it is a government trying to put artificial price controls on a product. Like when the latest toy that is for sale at Christmas time is in high demand, suddenly people are able to go on eBay and then charge double or maybe even triple or more the cost of that product because they know people are willing to pay it. So as long as the agreement in my mind is, as long as the people are willing to pay that amount, they're able to pay that amount, and your supply is limited, then I don't see an issue with it. But you know what? People, they say that I am greedy. They say I'm greedy. Well, you know what? I'm not, okay? I am just trying to make money, and I see opportunity. Anyway, let me get into this article. It's talking about how the Attorney General in California is going after landlords who are doing this sort of stuff. This article is coming from LAist.com, and it says, California's top prosecutor says he's building cases against price gouging landlords. Let's get into it. California Attorney General Rob Bonta said Thursday his office is actively investigating and preparing criminal charges against landlords, real estate agents, and other businesses suspected of raising rents and prices by more than 10% in the wake of Los Angeles fires. Folks across the region are being preyed upon by greedy businesses and landlords, scam artists, and predatory buyers looking to make a quick buck off their pain, Bonta said. They are seeking to re-victimize the victims of the fires, to exploit them in their vulnerable state. Rent increases of more than 10% from pre-fire levels violate California's prohibition on price gouging, which was triggered by Governor Gavin Newsom's declaration of a state of emergency around the historically destructive fires in LA County. Families who lost homes have sent LAists examples of listings with asking rents that spiked dramatically after thousands of evacuees were suddenly forced to seek housing in a brutally expensive market. LA tenant rights advocates have also collected hundreds of examples of suspected price gouging in a spreadsheet to track post-fire rent hikes of more than 10%. So what is the solution? Okay, so here we go. You have thousands of people out there looking for housing all at the same time. So let's say that normally you're renting your place out. You're in a place like LA. So you're going to get, let's say, 20 or 25 extremely well qualified candidates in there, right? And out of these 25, they've all got the money to be able to pay the rent, etc. But one of them comes up to you and says, hey, man, I'll give you 10 grand on top of the rent right now, just as a cash payment if you just give me this place. Are you going to turn that down? I know I wouldn't, okay? I'd be like, you know what? If you want the place that bad, you're the only one offering this much. But you know what they would call that? They would call that price gouging. They would call that, hey, you're a greedy landlord for taking that money from this person. Well, you know what? That person wanted to pay that amount. That person was willing to pay more than the other people were willing to pay. And I just made the opportunity happen for them to get into the house that they wanted so desperately. Is it wrong? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. It's just business, period. So if it comes down to no matter what happens, there's not going to be enough housing for everybody. Okay, there's not going to be enough housing, no matter what happens. Even if they say, hey, landlords cannot price gouge at all, it will not make it any easier for anyone to be able to find a house, right? The only thing it's really going to do is push this stuff into a black market. That's what my personal opinion is, right? The people who want the housing are still going to be paying more for the housing. There's just not going to be any, paperwork or advertisement saying that they are paying that amount. Okay, do you really think somebody who's worth $100 million, whose house burned down up in California, you think they're suddenly going to be like, you know what? I'm going to compete on the market with everybody else because, you know what? I have to follow the law. I don't want the landlord to charge one penny to me more than anyone else. No, they're going to be like, hey, I got $100 million. I need somewhere to live. I need somewhere for my kids to lay their head. I need, I need a house. And I will pay whatever it costs. And I would do the same. I absolutely would do the same. The only example I can give around here would be when the tornado hit Omaha last year, right? And had the tornado done more damage, it probably would have caused a very similar situation. But somebody like me, I have a little bit more money than lower income people. So if I wanted a house, well, I'm not going to compete on the same level as these, lower income people for a house. I'm just going to go out there and say, hey, how much is it going to cost? Get me in a place. My family is not going to be homeless. That's what I would do. Okay, period. And this is the reality that landlords are being confronted with, okay? That, hey, we have an opportunity here to make some additional money, and it's not their fault. It's not their fault. Like I said, the supply issue wasn't created by them, neither was the demand issue. The only thing they're doing is, trying to make a little bit of money. So what do you think? You think I'm right? You think I'm one of the greedy landlords price gouging? Do you think these landlords who are charging higher than normal rents should be prosecuted? Do you think they're just taking advantage of these poor fire victims? Put a comment in the comment section down below.